Daniel Mercer stepped into the grand ballroom with a confident smile, his arm wrapped around a woman who was not his wife. Crystal chandeliers glittered above, casting golden light across the marble floor, and the soft music of a piano floated through the air. Wealthy guests in elegant gowns and black tuxedos turned to look as he entered. Daniel enjoyed attention, and tonight he was getting plenty of it. The woman beside him, Vanessa, wore a stunning red evening gown that shimmered as she walked. She held her head high, smiling at everyone as if she already belonged among the city's elite. Daniel felt proud walking beside her. In his mind, she looked perfect, stylish, confident, modern, everything he believed his wife was not. Whispers began almost immediately. Isn't he married? Where is his wife? Who is that woman with him? Daniel heard the whispers, but he ignored them. Instead, he smiled even more and greeted a group of businessmen near the center of the hall. Vanessa laughed softly at something he said, placing her hand on his arm as if she had always been there. Daniel felt important, powerful, admired. He told himself he deserved this life. He had worked hard to become rich and successful. He didn't want a simple, quiet wife standing next to him at events like this. He wanted someone glamorous, someone people would notice. Across the room, guests continued whispering and glancing in their direction. Some looked uncomfortable, others curious, and a few amused. But Daniel pretended not to notice any of it. He lifted a glass of champagne and laughed loudly, showing everyone that he was confident and completely unashamed. Then suddenly, the large ballroom doors opened. The sound of the doors echoed through the hall, and slowly, conversations began to fade. One by one, people turned to look toward the entrance. The music seemed quieter, the air suddenly heavy with silence. A woman stepped inside. She wore a deep blue evening gown that flowed elegantly as she walked. Her hair was styled perfectly, and her posture was straight and confident. She didn't rush. She walked calmly, her eyes moving across the room until they stopped on Daniel. The entire ballroom went silent. Daniel's smile disappeared. His hand froze around the champagne glass. His heart began to beat faster as he stared at the woman walking toward him. It was his wife. But she didn't look like the woman he remembered. She looked powerful, elegant, confident, like someone who owned the entire room. Daniel felt a sudden wave of confusion and fear. He had no idea why she was there. And for the first time that night, Daniel Mercer felt nervous. Daniel Mercer was known in the city as a smart and successful businessman. People admired his confidence, his expensive suits, his luxury car, and the way he spoke in business meetings as if he controlled everything around him. His company had grown very fast in just a few years, and many people believed he was a self-made man who built his success alone. But that was not completely true. Years ago, Daniel had nothing. He lived in a small apartment, worked long hours, and struggled to pay bills. During those difficult days, the only person who stood beside him was his wife, Emily. She was a simple woman who did not care about expensive clothes or rich people. She believed in Daniel when nobody else did. She helped him manage money, supported his ideas, and even sold some of her jewelry so he could start his small business. Emily was kind, quiet, and patient. She always spoke politely and treated everyone with respect. She cooked for Daniel, encouraged him when he felt like giving up, and celebrated every small success as if it was something big. For many years, they were happy, even though they were not rich. But everything changed when Daniel became successful. As his business grew, Daniel started meeting wealthy and powerful people. He began attending luxury parties, business dinners, and social events where everyone wore designer clothes and talked about money and investments. Slowly, Daniel started to feel that Emily did not belong in that world. She still dressed simply, spoke softly, and preferred staying at home rather than going to loud parties. At first, Daniel just stopped taking her to events. He told her she would feel uncomfortable there. Emily did not argue. She simply smiled and said she understood. But the truth was different. Daniel was becoming ashamed of her simple lifestyle. Around that time, Daniel met Vanessa at a business event. Vanessa was everything Emily was not: modern, stylish, confident, and very social. She knew how to talk to rich people, how to dress for parties, and how to make everyone notice her when she entered a room. Daniel was impressed by her immediately. They started meeting more often. Business meetings slowly became dinners, and dinners slowly became secret meetings. Before long, Daniel was having an affair with Vanessa. Soon, he began taking Vanessa to parties and events instead of his wife. People started seeing them together everywhere: restaurants, business gatherings, charity events. Many people knew he was married, but no one said anything directly to him. They only whispered behind his back. At home, Emily noticed everything. She saw the late-night messages, the expensive gifts that were not for her, and the growing distance between her and Daniel. She understood what was happening. But she never shouted. She never cried in front of him. She never asked questions. She stayed quiet, calm, and polite, as if she was waiting for the right moment. A few weeks later, the biggest event of the year was announced: a luxury charity gala attended by the richest business owners, investors, and media from the city. It was not just a party. It was a place where reputations were built, partnerships were formed, and powerful people made important decisions. Everyone who was anyone would be there. When Daniel heard about the event, he immediately decided that this would be the night he would officially introduce Vanessa to society. In his mind, this was the perfect opportunity to show everyone that he belonged among the elite, and that the woman beside him matched his new lifestyle. At the office and during meetings, people began asking him, "Will your wife attend the gala with you?" Daniel would smile politely and reply, "Emily is not feeling well these days. She prefers to rest at home." Sometimes he told others she was visiting relatives out of town. The lies came easily to him now, and he felt no guilt when he said them. Vanessa, on the other hand, was very excited about the gala. She bought an expensive designer gown, new jewelry, and even booked a stylist for her hair and makeup. She kept telling Daniel how this night would be special for both of them. Daniel agreed. He believed this was the beginning of a new chapter in his life, a life where Vanessa would stand beside him in public and Emily would slowly disappear from his world. The night of the gala finally arrived. The grand ballroom was more beautiful than ever, filled with golden lights, soft music, and elegantly dressed guests. When Daniel entered with Vanessa on his arm, many people turned to look at them. Vanessa smiled confidently, greeting people as if she had known them for years. Daniel proudly introduced her to businessmen, investors, and socialites. "This is Vanessa," he would say with a proud smile, never mentioning that he was still married. Some guests quietly whispered to each other about his wife, but others complimented Vanessa's beauty and confidence. "She is stunning. They look good together. She fits his lifestyle." Hearing these comments made Daniel feel powerful and important. He felt like he had finally built the perfect image: wealth, success, and a beautiful woman beside him. He laughed loudly, shook hands, and enjoyed the attention, completely unaware that the night was about to change his life forever. Because in just a few minutes, someone unexpected was going to walk through those ballroom doors. The party was in full swing when the host suddenly walked onto the stage and tapped the microphone. The soft music slowly faded, and the guests turned their attention toward the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host announced with a smile, "tonight we would like to give special thanks to the person who made this charity gala possible. This event would not exist without the generosity of our main investor and sponsor. Please join me in welcoming our special guest and business partner." People began to clap politely as everyone turned toward the large ballroom doors. The doors opened slowly. A woman walked in, wearing a stunning deep blue evening gown that shimmered under the golden lights. Her hair was styled elegantly, and she walked with calm confidence, her head held high and her expression peaceful but strong. It was Emily. But she was not the simple, quiet woman people remembered. She looked powerful, elegant, and completely in control. The room suddenly filled with louder applause as many important guests began smiling and greeting her with respect. Daniel felt his body go cold. Vanessa stopped smiling. They both stared at Emily in complete shock as she walked past the crowd. Several businessmen walked forward to shake her hand. "Welcome, Ms. Emily. It's an honor to finally meet you. Your investment saved this project. We are looking forward to working with you." Daniel could not believe what he was hearing. His mind felt blank as he watched his wife, the woman he had ignored and disrespected, being treated like one of the most important people in the room. Emily walked calmly toward the stage and shook hands with the host before turning to face the audience. She spoke confidently into the microphone, thanking everyone for attending and supporting the charity. Her voice was calm and strong, and the entire room listened carefully. Then she said something that made Daniel feel like the ground had disappeared under his feet. "I would also like to thank my husband, Daniel Mercer," she said calmly, looking directly at him. "Many people believe he built his company alone, but the truth is, I was his silent partner from the very beginning." The room became very quiet. Emily continued, "When Daniel started his business years ago, I invested my personal savings and family funds into his company. Over the years, I continued investing and buying shares quietly. Today, I am the majority shareholder of Mercer Holdings." A loud murmur spread across the ballroom. Daniel's face turned pale. He suddenly remembered all the documents he had signed years ago without reading carefully, all the investments Emily had said she was managing, all the shares she had purchased in different names. His heart began to race as he realized the truth. Most of his company, most of his wealth, almost everything he owned, was actually in Emily's name. Vanessa slowly removed her hand from Daniel's arm, her expression changing from pride to embarrassment. People around them were now whispering again, but this time they were not admiring Daniel. They were looking at him with shock and judgment. And Daniel Mercer finally understood that the woman he was ashamed of was actually the reason for his success. The ballroom was completely silent as Emily stood on the stage, holding the microphone. She looked calm and confident, but her eyes were serious. Daniel stood frozen in the crowd, unable to move, while people around him whispered quietly. Emily took a small breath and began speaking again. "Success is a beautiful thing," she said calmly. "Money, power, and status can change a person's life. But they also reveal a person's true character. When Daniel and I were poor, we only had each other. We had no luxury, no big house, no expensive cars. But we had respect, loyalty, and love. And I believed those things were more important than money." She paused for a moment, and the room remained silent. "I supported Daniel when he had nothing. I believed in his dreams when nobody else did. I stood beside him in difficult times, and I was proud to be his wife. But when success came, he became ashamed of the same person who stood beside him in his hardest days." Daniel lowered his head, unable to look at her. Emily continued, her voice still calm but strong. "A person should never be ashamed of the people who helped them rise. Because if you forget the people who stood with you in the dark, you don't deserve to stand in the light." The words hit the room like a heavy weight. Then Emily said the final thing that changed everything. "As the majority owner of Mercer Holdings, I will be taking full control of the company starting tomorrow. And as for my marriage, I believe respect is more important than love. And where there is no respect, there is no marriage. So I will be filing for divorce." A loud murmur spread across the hall. Daniel felt like everything around him was collapsing. Vanessa quietly stepped away from him. She did not say anything, did not look back, and slowly walked out of the ballroom. Without his money and reputation, Daniel was no longer important to her. People who once respected Daniel now looked at him differently. Some shook their heads, others whispered, and many simply walked away from him. In just one night, he lost his reputation, his business, and his pride. Meanwhile, Emily stepped down from the stage and walked toward the exit with confidence and dignity. She did not look back. She did not cry. She walked away strong, independent, and respected. Daniel stood alone in the middle of the ballroom, finally understanding a painful truth. Never be ashamed of the person who stood with you when you had nothing, because they are the reason you have everything.